Hello and good evening once again. Welcome to the UBC News Tonight with me, your uncle Wadulo, Arnold, Mugalu, Mohammed on sign language. It is the 4th day of June 2021. Welcome to the News Tonight. We now give you the headlines. In our stories tonight, President Museveni advises police to use cameras effectively. Haruna KAYONDO, General Katumba's driver, laid to rest in Bukomansimbi. Israeli opposition leaders form coalition to oust Prime Minister Netanyahu. And in sports, an unlikely event likely to take place. Cricket, basketball suspend activities. Once again, welcome to the UBC News Tonight. Be reminded we're streaming live on UBC TV, Uganda's YouTube page. Now the news in detail. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has highlighted that the economy has grown from 1.3 billion US dollars to 40 billion US dollars, adding that by 2026 the economy is estimated to be at 69 billion US dollars or 193 billion US dollars according to the PPP method. He, however, revealed that he wasn't satisfied by this level of performance, comparing to some companies in the USA that have annual turnovers of billions of dollars, which are more than the GDP of many African economies. Let's take a look at what he said.
Here, how and why should a company have a size of business that is bigger than the economy of a whole country? The combined GDP of East Africa is 440 billion. The whole of East Africa, 440 billion dollars. One company in the US called Walmart, 560 billion. You have seen how some of the individual companies have business sizes comparable to the combined economies of the whole of East Africa. Hence, in the medium term, we must aim at the size of the economy of at least $300 billion by foreign exchange method. By 2026, Uganda's population will be 48 million people. If each person is earning $3,000, each person per head is earning, or people are earning, for the children will not be earning, but their parents can earn for them. Earning US dollars 3,000 per year, that would be $144 billion. This will just be people's incomes without including infrastructure. Yet, US dollar 3,000 per person per year translates to shillings 10.8 million per person per year. And for a household of 5, this would translate to Uganda shillings 54 million per year. If each person was earning $3,000 in Uganda shillings for a household of 5, it will translate to 54 million shillings per year. Some of our households, like if you take the ones of Ruengaju, the one in near Fort Portal, Mr. Nyakana and his group, using 1 acre, are already earning shillings 240 million.
Now, to that note, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in other news, said that government has leads to the attackers of General Edward Katumba Wamala. While delivering his State of the Nation address, Mr. Museveni said that the details of the gun used in the attack have been identified and those involved will be got. Furthermore, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, under the Public Finance Management Act, the State of the Nation address is supposed to be read before the passing of the budget by Parliament, or rather, had mixed reactions on the State of the Nation address delivered by His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. While speaking to legislators after the State of the Nation address, the lawmakers appreciated the address, and this is what they had to say. We do apologize for that hiccup. Now, moving on. General Katumba Wamala's late driver, HARUNA KAYONDO, has been laid to rest at his ancestral home in Lugando, Mukango Sub-County, Bukomansimbi District. Uganda People's Defense Forces soldiers and hundreds of friends and relatives attended the burial. It should be recalled that HARUNA was killed during an assassination attempt on the life of General Edward Katumba Wamala.
As many condemned the gruesome attack on General Katumba Wamala, which left him surviving with wounds as his daughter and driver died instantly. A few minutes later, the attack videos circulated on social media showing a group of border riders pleading with the injured general to be rushed at a...
The late driver to General Katumba Wamala has been laid to rest. Sergeant HARUNA KAYONDO was shot dead during an attempted assassination of General Edward Katumba Wamala around Chisota in Chisasi, a Kampala suburb, on Tuesday this week. Brigadier General Sande Deus, who represented the UPDF, warned criminals against turning their wrath against members of the forces.
nga tuteeka ekinene ne tusakolinga ekinene security naffe twebuuza naye ddala teri kirungi kyetukoze. So it is food for thought, especially bana bali mu bukulembeze bakama baffe naffe tubabuuza naye ddala lwaki ffe temutulwanira.
Members of Parliament representing Bukomansimbi asked the government to release reports of murdered persons, especially those killed with guns.
Abantu ne bajjamu ennyumba zaabwe enzigi ne bazikuulamu, abantu ne bababuzaawo. Embizi ezo zoba zisipootinge tuzirabe. Jeno ne gundi bizeno ne gundi be bakoze ki be batta abantu.
The sister to the deceased, Nachimbugwe Madina, urged all well-wishers to support her, look after the children of her siblings, because it's a heavy burden on her. The wife to the deceased also expressed sadness over the murder of her husband, whom she says was calm.
Ekyamazima tulina bamuleko abawera 20. Naye nga nze nsigaddewo nga nze taata, nze ssenga, nze jjajja, buli kimu kyonna kyetololera konze.
KAYONDO Aruna ndi musanyufu nnyo yadde ndi munaku nnyo mutima nene yanziza nnyo mwebalire ddala.
The district Kadhi Bukomansimbi Sheikh Mohammed Waswa Semakade requested government to take action against the murderers. HARUNA KAYONDO joined the UPDF in 2002 and had risen to the rank of sergeant. Kayondo, who is survived by a wife and children, has been laid to rest at his ancestral home in Lugando, Kalungu, Bukango Sub-County, Bukomansimbi District.
Now, immediately after the assailants shot at General Katumba Wamala, leaving him wounded and killing his daughter and the driver, the first responders were border riders. However, there seems to be contention on who was the border rider who rushed to a nearby clinic for first aid. In this report, UBC reporter Robert Onyango goes back to the scene for critical pieces of the events and putting them together, revealing who really offered to save the General Katumba's life as cars were just passing by. These are the details.
As many condemned the gruesome attack on General Katumba Wamala, which left him surviving with wounds as his daughter and driver died instantly. A few minutes later, the attacker videos circulated on social media showing a group of border riders pleading with the injured general to be rushed at a nearby clinic. In fact, General Katumba Wamala has continuously thanked the motorcycle rider, who he says saved his life by taking a split-second decision.
I want to thank the border man. When everybody was scared stiff, running away from me, including government vehicles, this border man insisted. He said, "Mukama wange nino kutwala, I have to take you." Now you can think, the people who are shooting us were on border. This man is telling me to sit on a border. I'm still in a confused state. Is he taking me to those people? Or he's taking me to a safe place?
However, there seems to be a contention amongst Tajibu Kasibante and William Kawuchi on who rushed the general to the hospital.
Akava mwana wange bamusa mwana wange ene mugamba fanda ate nawe ngoli bubi ya tutula ku pichi wano nenchikawo pichi nanga tula ku pichi wano nkole ki kutwale mu ddwaliro twatula no ku pichi nasoka agana babula ne bamugamba tula kutwale mu ddwaliro musayigu kugwamu natula buyatula ne mugamba nasikali yote tukuleka kola ki tula naye.
We visited the medical hospital where Katumba was rushed to ascertain allegations by both riders.
Just immediately after the gunshots, like 30 minutes later, I was standing near the reception. I saw very many border men coming, but there was one border in particular carrying a man soiled in blood.
With both of them claiming to be the saviors, we have decided to compare the registration number plates of both motorcycles belonging to them. Tajibu Kasibante's bike is registered under number UEN 596B. However, in numerous video clips recorded online, if you freeze the frame of the bike that transported General Katumba to Malcolm Health Center, it's under registration number UEL 693D.
Newe nagendera kudwala kuva waliwo nati waliwo munamawulire n'omu mugenda okujja aba poliisi ki nga ffe twamaze dda gemu yaffe naye kati ekisinga n'okunnumayo najja yeemulisa n'agamba yamuvuga bw'oba tokoze kintu tokibeerangamu.
William Kawuchi is a resident of Chisasi and operating from Gaz border stage. Whether it is Tajibu Kasibante or William Kawuchi, what's applaudable was the act by many border riders in the area who offered to help transport the injured general to a nearby clinic for a first aid. I'm Robert Onyango and Ivan Juko for UBC News.
Taking credit where it's not due. How do you do that? Moving on, the issue of judiciary offering bail or acquitting suspects mainly related to murder, terror, among others, is a contentious issue. Now, the chief of Defense Forces General David Muhozi recently said that bailing out criminals is a major setback to stopping crime in the public domain. These are the details.
And we shall also go after the culprits.
While attending the burial of General Edward Katumba Wamala's daughter, Brenda Nantongo, the Chief of Defense Forces, General David Muhozi, re-echoed the need for a joint collaboration in the fight against terror.
Sometimes we've had culprits arrested, but then released because of some gaps here or there. And this causes impunity.
Lack of substantial evidence stopping criminals has always given them a leeway to walk scot-free.
After all, our cardinal law, the Constitution, provides that substantive justice will be administered without undue regard to technicalities. So it shouldn't be a problem this time. It's doable to pursue justice and bring the culprits to book.
Uganda Prison Service is believably overwhelmed by a big number of prisoners who are spending time behind bars without trial in courts of law.
Our job is to keep prisoners in our custody until they access justice. And we have been trying our best to do that. But yes, when the prisoners are not accessing justice, it is an inconvenience to us.
It depends on the offense. For most capital offenses, it would be difficult for you to get bail.
There are a number of reasons why bail is not granted or granted to capital offenders.
And we have to be also very vigilant in terms of who we are giving the bail and who we are denying the bail.
It's at the discretion of the courts to grant bail to any person who is before it. I think the drafters of our constitution were basically looking at the key principle of the right to personal liberty. That individuals or citizens have the right to personal liberty, and therefore they had to protect that personal liberty.
Prosecutors or the state attorneys don't do their job. They don't read, they don't research. So at the end of it all, they make, presentations before court that are not convincing. So the courts will have no option but to release the accused persons.
Until recently, security agencies have netted key suspects in connection to terror and murder connected to high-profile personalities. However, many have left the courtrooms as innocent on grounds of lack of binding evidence.
There is always either wrong intelligence or insufficient intelligence. So wrong people end up being arrested, and there isn't sufficient evidence against them. So that's one. Number two, may also relate to insufficient investigation. People are arrested, the investigation is not thorough, the evidence presented before the courts is not thorough, and the courts have no option but to release them.
If a suspect confesses before and says, look, whatever I said at the time of arrest was due to torture, then that evidence is not admissible. So all these things that we are insisting on the due process of the law. But you've also had instances where the judiciary pronounces itself that this matter was mishandled by the criminal justice in terms of the police, the investigating officer, mishandling the evidence, mishandling suspects, and then you find that what would have been a good case has become a bad case. So we need to really strengthen these investigative arms of government.
During his latest State of the Nation address in Kampala, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni still advocated against bail to capital offenders as he reacted to the recent attack against the life of General Katumba Wamala that ended the life of his daughter and driver. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kampala.
Now, in other news, Uganda Prison Service have dismissed allegations of hiding COVID-19 cases from the public. The spokesperson Uganda Prison Service, Frank Baine, says that they have established special treatment centers with qualified health workers to respond to the cases related to coronavirus. Now, this follows questions raised by the public after the recent transfer of some inmates from Nakasongola to Gulu.
Uganda Prison Service spokesperson Frank Baine has dismissed allegations of hiding COVID-19 cases in prisons.
There is no reason for us to hide COVID-19 cases because I have been frequently on the media updating the public on the numbers of cases we have had.
Baine says the prison service recently had 20 female inmates affected by COVID-19 at Nakasongola prison who have since been sent to Gulu Central Prison for treatment.
We also got some 3 from Sanga, and those have been transferred to Mbarara Treatment Center. They are also asymptomatic. We have had 5 from Busesa. Busesa is one of the isolation centers in the southeastern region, and they have been transferred to Jinja Treatment Center. They are all in stable condition, and actually the majority of them are asymptomatic.
Despite the efforts to vaccinate all the prison staff, the prison service is still challenged by the limited doses of vaccines. Uganda Prison Service is expecting to roll out the vaccination of all prisoners against COVID-19 as soon as the vaccines are available.
Vaccination was strictly for staff for the first dose and second dose, but we are hopeful that when the batch, which was expected in May and has not come, when that batch comes, prisoners are part of the areas or the vulnerable groups that will have to be vaccinated. We are very optimistic about that.
So far, Uganda Prison Service have 1,103 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with 1 death. Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
In another related development, the Ministry of Health has launched the National COVID-19 Resurgence Plan aimed at providing a basis for response to the COVID-19 pandemic with the goal of integrating responses into ongoing health system strengthening. The former Minister of Health, Dr. Jane Ruth-Acheng, revealed that government has committed the next financial year 85 billion Ugandan shillings to procure more vaccines into the country, and also appealed to the Ministry of Health senior officials to put in place a monitoring and tracking tool for resources.
Officially launched for God and my country.
Ministry of Health has launched the National COVID-19 Resurgency Plan intended to provide a framework for the robust response to acute and a rise in the number of cases. The launch was graced by the implementing partners, Ministry of Health officials and development partners. Outgoing Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth-Acheng reassured the public of vaccines availability.
Within 1 week, we will have over 175,000 doses. Shortly thereafter, we'll have some more vaccines coming in, and also the vaccines which government of Uganda has paid for will come in. So nobody will miss a dose if you have taken a dose. Just rest assured your vaccine will be available.
COVID-19 outbreak has evolved over time. Currently, the upsurges remain localized to the districts of Gulu, Arua, Kitgum, Wakiso and Kampala. Ministry of Health officials noted that Greater Kampala metropolitan area accounts for the greater bulk of the confirmed cases of about 57%, with Kampala district single-handedly contributing 48% to the national case count.
We are not doing very well. Uganda is among 3 countries in Africa, Namibia and Zambia, where we are having very serious resurgences. And all efforts have to be done to ensure that we bring down or control the pandemic. You clearly heard from the Director General how the facilities are getting full up very quickly. Actually, saying getting full up is an understatement. We should be saying they are full up. Because when we no longer have flow meters for oxygen, it is as good as having filled up facilities.
Health experts warn the public about the second wave as it also affects children. Most of the hospitals are full and urge the public to observe SOPs.
Intensive care unit for children should be expanded because the number of children is growing every day. It is time to stop the bickering. It is time to stop the rhetoric. It is time to focus on the danger that is in the house. It is in the house. It is not anywhere else.
The minister revealed that government has put aside 85 billion shillings for procurement of COVID-19 vaccines.
Starting July, government has already committed 85 billion Uganda shillings, again for vaccines. And we need to track it and relate it to the 11 million US dollars already sent to UNICEF. So I humbly request the teams to work on a tracking tool for resources.
To the government, UNICEF is happy to announce that the government of Uganda has already transferred more than $11 million to UNICEF to procure vaccines for Uganda.
Development partners and government call for collective responsibility in order to tackle the deadly virus. Zahra Abigaba, UBC.
Now, in one of our lead stories, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has said that government has leads to the attackers of the General Edward Katumba Wamala. While delivering his State of the Nation address, Mr. Museveni said that the details of the gun used in the attack have been identified and those involved will be caught.
Provided for under Article 101 of the Constitution, State of the Nation address is delivered at the beginning of each session of Parliament. The President highlights achievements registered in the current financial year and plans for the next financial year. The assassination attempt on the life of General Edward Katumba Wamala and the state of security in the country was part of this year's State of the Nation address delivered to the 11th Parliament at Kolo Independence Grounds. President Museveni said the assassination attempt against former Works and Transport Minister General Edward Katumba Wamala, which left his daughter and driver dead, exposed the poor organization of the Uganda police.
The cameras I put in place did their work. As you saw, the killers were running from one area to another area. Why didn't the camera center alert all the patrol cars and even the UAVs? UAVs are these unmanned air vehicles. We have them. They can follow you anywhere once they are deployed.
President Yoweri Museveni said the assailants would have been intercepted and arrested if the police was well organized, especially in monitoring the cameras put in place to curb crime.
The criminals would then be on continuous viewing by all the camera centers if the policemen adopt my directives and rationality in the use of those cameras. So those cameras are there, but they are not fully used.
The president says one of the guns used to assassinate one of the former commanders of Allied Democratic Forces ADF, Major Mohammed Kigundu, in 2016 is the same weapon which was used to spray bullets at General Katumba's car on June 1st, 2021, leaving his daughter, Brenda Nantong, and driver Haruna Kayondo dead.
For instance, the gun which was used is already identified, which was used in the case of the Katumba attack. It is the same one which was used in the Chigundu case. Chigundu, the Major Chigundu. And those, a number of those, not all of them, were arrested, but they were released by the courts on bail.
He also directed police officers to stop using mobile phones and revert radio calls as a form of prompt communication in attempt to fight such criminality.
They abandoned using radio. They now use mobile phones. Hello, hello, hello. Now, mobile phone, you talk to only one person. Police don't work like that. Police work on a network. The police is directed, again, I had already directed them, but I repeat it, stop using mobile phones and go back to using radios that are open to all stations so that they can act promptly in emergencies like the one of General Katumba.
On corruption, the president warned the Minister of Finance and some committees of Parliament who he said are letting him down.
Corruption has become a real enemy. It starts in the Minister of Finance. where projects are designed with supernumerary elements, extras. They make a project, but they add in things which are not there, which shouldn't be there. These bloated projects go to ministries, like the Ministry of Water and so on. Then to the committees of parliament. You watch out. You watch out. Committees of parliament. Then to the Auditor General, where there is collusion all the way, and there are agents along the way. Each one getting injauro. I have the story now. I have the story, you will see. You will see. That's how I moved on the Uganda Airlines. They thought they were very smart, but they will find out what sort of people Bayekera are.
The State of the Nation address will be followed by the reading of the national budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021 on Friday next week at the same venue. Bernard Higa, UBC News, Kololo.
Furthermore, legislators have had mixed reactions on the State of the Nation address delivered by His Excellency the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. While speaking to legislators after the State of the Nation address, the lawmakers appreciated the address, and we hear them have a voice.
We expected a lot, though less has been talked about. For example, me as a teacher, the President, well knowing that the education sector is under threat, very many challenges are with the private teachers, very many challenges are with the education system. He has not mentioned anything about education, like helping out the private teachers whom he promised money during the COVID season and have never received money.
In my view, as the district woman representative for Kampala, he missed out very vital points. They expected the president to talk about the increasing debt burden for Uganda and the high taxation, which makes their work, or the working conditions actually unfavorable for them, but he has not addressed that issue.
The president didn't address the issues in the education sector, most probably in the private sector, because they have been on their knees, they have been suffering for the past 1 year since COVID came, but the president has not addressed it. As regards to issues of electricity, he has only addressed the issues of the factories, the investors, but not the common people down here. How the government is planning on reducing the costs of electricity.
And today I'm the happiest that His Excellency has touched about the lake. The Ugandan lakes can fetch us money. Unfortunately, because of corruption that he has mentioned, the lakes have been mismanaged all this time. If His Excellency are not to deploy the soldiers in the lake, we would have lost our lakes.
You know, the thieves are in Parliament, the thieves are in Ministry of Finance, the thieves are in police, the thieves are in the judiciary. The president should be directing. Want to hear that from him, want to hear him command and say, the way he said, from today, I don't want police to use mobile phones, use radio calls. I expect him to say, the following people in finance are thieves, they should be arrested and arraigned in court. Because he was talking about finance, the Minister of Finance was here.
My attention is driven to the fact that the president is geared towards seeing people grow economically. And this time around is very emphatic on fighting corruption and ensuring that there is services being given to the local last person down there. And that's why there are issues to do with like employing all mechanisms like the parish model to foster agriculture and tackling people. So I think we are good to go. I call upon our fellow leaders on the grassroots to join hands, and we support the president on the dream that he's looking at.
Some of the things I expected him to talk about. Of course, I also expected him to talk about the serious gender issues within this country that he hasn't mentioned about, especially given that we every day on a daily basis we see the violence that has escalated, gender-based violence that has escalated in this country, and those levels are bearing and infringing on the economic rights of so many women and girls. Those are things it didn't address because most people often think that gender-based issues are not issues of development, and these are the things that really deter an economy from prospering.
In another development, judiciary has appealed to the public to bear with them if they decide to close some courts due to the COVID-19 cases rising up. Presently, the judiciary has closed Justice Jane Okuo's chambers following a team member testing positive with COVID-19. This was revealed by the judiciary spokesperson Jameson Karimani during a phone interview with our court reporter Deborah Namamonde.
Judiciary has decided to close the chambers of Justice Jane Okuo for 2 weeks, following a member who tested positive with COVID-19. This was in a notice by the Acting Deputy Registrar and Corruption Division, Magistrate Pamela Lamuno Ochaya.
We shall experience some courts will be closing if there is a big number of people infected. We shall have to close it for some time. So, right now, some courts have closed for some days to ensure that there is fumigation. The staff have gone for isolation, so it is something that we have to live with. My message to the public is that when we come up with a notice and inform you that a certain court will not be operating for some time because of being affected by the COVID-19, we shall request you to bear with us because we have got to seek life first. The rest of the things can find us there.
Jameson Kalimani also indicates that some courts will soon be closed, as some staff are to be trained in electronic court case management information system. Those who will undergo training include clerks, transcribers, record officers, data entry clerks, among others.
As we have been saying, we are planning to have electronic court information system in operation, and it is due to start soon. So we have been conducting trainings of different cadres, and this time it will be the records assistants and our clerks. Given the role they play in courts, because courts cannot sit without them, and the registries cannot run without those people. So during the time when they will all be away, we felt that we cannot operate without them, and therefore the registry will not be open, and some cases which had been fixed for those 2 days will not be handled.
Courts to be affected with that training include Civil Division Court from 7th to 8th June 2021 and Commercial Court from 10th to 11th June 2021. However, judges and registrars will be present at the station.
So we shall be running everything on electronic system. Files will be online. We shall keep them there. We shall be registering online. And even when we go to the hearing of cases, we shall be using that system. So it has so many advantages. One of them, we shall no longer be experiencing files which are misplaced. There will not be contact between court users and the clerks, which to a bigger extent will reduce what we have been talking about, the perceived and actual corruption.
Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Relative and human rights activists in Lira are demanding for justice for a 5-year-old child who was assaulted and left unconscious by her stepmother in Ireda, Shamba, Lira City, East Division.
Innocent children still continue to suffer gross mistreatment by their guardians who claim to be taking care of them. Videos and pictures of children abused and being abused is everywhere on social media from all parts of the country, thanks to social media and neighbors of a 5-year-old girl whose identity we cannot reveal because she is a minor but was terribly beaten and left unconscious by her 20-year-old stepmother Fiona Namagenda.
The baby was terribly tortured. The wounds all over her body parts.
At that time, the child was not in a good state. I'm telling you, I almost cried in the hospital, but I was like, now, I should not break down from here. I have to be strong and move on. I still have work to do.
And this kid told us that the mom prick her private part with a with a stick.
And there are all signs there on the child. And this is something that the parents kept away from me.
After receiving treatment for 3 days from Lira University Teaching Hospital, the victim was discharged on Tuesday and currently living with her Aunt Priscilla at Kakoge B in Lira City West Division. The minor was born outside marriage and was living with her grandmother in Amolatar before her stepmother demanded her father to bring her to their family.
If you know that you cannot keep a baby, at least don't bring the baby in and you torture the innocent kid. Because this baby you are torturing, you don't know the future.
I sent again another border to the police station. Please, you're going there, you'll find a couple, tell him I am waiting. They called me. At that time, there was no one. It was already 3:30. And the mother looked like she wanted to escape.
We came back again to police. So police gave us this medical form to be filled by the doctor. This doctor ignored us until we call a certain doctor.
The accused was granted bail today after appearing in court on the charge of child abuse. In the month of January to April, North Kyoga alone registered 625 cases of child-related abuses that includes defilement, child neglect, desertion, torture, and trafficking of innocent children.
We are doing badly in teenage pregnancy and early marriage.
Anytime anyone can be a stepmother, even me who is talking, I can be a stepmother now or tomorrow. Let's support the children. Let's support them. Let's make sure that they're safe.
However, Lisinia Chirapa, a community paralegal with the Health and Rights Initiative, urged all stakeholders to step up in order to curb the vice.
I emphasize a lot on men because I see fathers when they come back home, they don't even want children to touch them. They don't want to even smile on the kid. Maybe sometimes the kid is trying to communicate something, but fathers are not taking it seriously.
Children hold a great power to our society's future. Therefore, to have a generation we all desire, there is need to end every form of violence against children. I'm Ediolwa, reporting for UBC News.
Thank you very much, Ejula from Northern Uganda, our correspondent to UBC. Now, local council leaders in Kampala have asked government to support areas they represent with utilities that protect the communities against COVID-19. A local council leader in Kamocha, Nansubuga Paskazia, disclosed that there should be more sensitization about the vaccination of COVID-19 drug because many people are having different theories.
The increasing cases of COVID-19 in the country have prompted local leaders in Kampala to ask for government intervention. The local leaders representing communities of Kamocha, Mulago, Chifumbira, among others, want government support to local leaders in the administration of utilities for the standard operating procedures against COVID-19.
But people still think that even immunization is political. And many of our people don't want to go even for immunization. So we still need that, a lot of sensitization. Government should help us. They think much more of the MPs, and we are the ones on ground.
The leaders stress the need of reducing on charges on water for easy access, especially in the ghetto. Nansubuga Paskazia says many people are now sharing masks, with some still skeptical about COVID-19 existence over its politicization.
But even the elders, they share masks because they can't afford. People still share water, this bottle of water. You find one person sharing, you find like 10 people sharing a bottle of water. So the cost of living is very high. People can't afford. People are living in denial.
The leaders were speaking at the Ugandan National Health Consumers Organization offices in Kampala. The Executive Director, Ugandan National Health Consumers Organization, Robina Katiritimba, disclosed that communities should take advantage in the prevention of COVID-19.
And there is a lot of wrong messages that come. Many people, I have tried to take the people in my village, the people who do casual labor in our village, the guards, the security guards, the cleaners, they have refused to go for immunization. So we have a role to convince all those people that the medicine is safe.
The chairman, Chifumbira B. Buhemuka Joseph, says they need to be empowered to distribute utilities to communities they represent in case government comes out with such initiatives.
Unity y'amazzi eri waggulu ng'omuntu oli yalibadde afuna ekidomola tisi musingi 10 yalibadde afunamu ebidomola 4 ebimumala olunaku nga kijja kumwetaagisa wakati w'essinji 1500 oba 1200 okufuna ebidomola 4 ekyo kimenya.
The coordinator, Nakawa Home Based Care Alliance, Hajat Nansobuga Rukia Nyombi, says government should decentralize immunization centers to schools and workplaces.
Is it that we are having very many mushrooming buildings in Uganda? Hotels, malls, arcades, new cars in this era of COVID. So I want government to go and look into that to see where did that money come from. Yet we had a national task force on COVID.
The leaders say it is expensive for people to access health facilities, though there is an increase of COVID-19 patients. Sudat Kaye reporting.
Well, we'll now take a short commercial break and be back with more news tonight. Do not move an inch.
Today in history.
Today marks 79 years since the World War II Battle of Midway began on June 4, 1942. The Battle of Midway began when the Japanese Navy attacked Midway, thinking the US forces would quickly be wiped out. But due to clever reconnaissance and by letting the Japanese believe there would be little resistance, the US were able to send 55 US dive bombers, which took full advantage of the poor strategy and sank 3 of the 4 Japanese carriers, all cluttered with aircraft and fuel. The attack on Midway resulted in the loss of 322 aircraft and 3,500 men from the Japanese Navy. And that day was today in history.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. It's the same here. And here too. Watch every move. Record every number so you can plan better. No matter the size of your dream, tomorrow's success belongs to those who keep today's records clean. File your returns today.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
In efforts to improve quality assurance and Uganda's competitiveness as a tourist destination, Uganda Tourism Board is set to undertake a nationwide grading and classification exercise of hotel and accommodation facilities. As a member of the East African community, Uganda subscribes to the East African Grading and Classification Criteria, a system denoted by stars ranging from 1 to 5. The grading and classification exercise will be crowned by the awarding of star ratings 2 facilities found compliant to the EAC minimum standards. This is therefore a call to all accommodation and facility owners and managers to register and get licensed by UTB as a requirement and get ready for participation. For more information, visit www.utb.go.ug or email qualityassurance@utb.go.ug for details. Uganda Tourism Board, promoting tourism together.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Welcome back. It's still the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. We now take you to the world of business. Strengthening and close monitoring of programs aimed at poverty alleviation in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic is necessary for socio-economic growth of communities and the country at large. Reverend Father Sylvester Buembo of Jinja Kalori in Wakiso district was receiving 10,000 chicks and 1,000 piglets lobbied to them by the former Nansana Municipality Member of Parliament, Robert Kasule Sebunya from NADS.
Government has been commended for strengthening programs aimed at alleviating poverty in the country and encouraged to place strict measures meant to monitor programs for public's benefit. Jinja Kalori Parish Priest in Wakiso District, the Reverend Father Sylvester Buembo said these were receiving, together with other beneficiaries, over 10,000 chicks and 1,000 piglets, lobbied to them by the former Nansana Municipality Member of Parliament, Robert Kasule Sebunya from NADS.
Programs are good, but the only problem with those government programs is that the supervision, they fall up. So if they leave the follow-up to the ordinary, those LOCs, at times, even them, they are not very serious. But if they combine LOCs, church leaders, or leaders from the Muslim community, so that we embrace all of us. These programs are.
He commended the former MP for the efforts aimed at developing the area and encouraged the newly elected leaders to also be exemplary. The former Member of Parliament, Nansana Municipality, Robert Kasule Sebunya, promised to continue lobbying for the people of Nansana in the campaign against poverty because COVID has affected and devastated many people's businesses, homes, among others, despite the fact that he is not in Parliament.
All in all, I want to thank the people of Nansana Municipality who first gave me a chance to present them. Now that I'm not an MP, I'm still a leader. I still help my people. I will still lobby for them. First of all, NADS is a public institution, so I'm obliged to go and appeal for my people, for all sorts of enablers, like cows, like pigs, like chicks, for people to rear. We are living in a difficult time where everybody must get his hands to work.
Kasule Sebunya encouraged the communities in the area to utilize any space available to engage in urban farming, among other developments. He asked the youth to stop politicking and embrace government projects to develop themselves. Some of the beneficiaries commended President MUSEVENI and former area Member of Parliament Kasule Sebunya for the donation in this COVID-19 period.
Because we want to
kuba mukama wange bamwebaza abeera ku radio n'ayogera tolya kamunno n'okatokwogera
lebo waffe Robert Kasule Sebunya okutusakira embeera kati tugenda tulaba waliwo enkyukakyuka tusaba ne mwami Museveni waba atunula mu Kasulo yamuwuliremu
nga bwe kiri kati kyeyongerereyo ddala n'omwana waffe Kasulo oyo amulabire ddala.
On the international scene, Israel's opposition leaders have agreed to form a government that could potentially end Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year reign as Prime Minister of the Jewish state. The coalition, which straddles the political spectrum from the far-left Meretz party to the ultra-nationalists Yamina, anchored by the centrists Yash Atid, hammered out a deal on Wednesday after days of frantic negotiations. Details follow.
Israel's change bloc worked hard to come together, but the hard work isn't over yet. By June 14th, Israel's Knesset, or parliament, will vote on the new bloc, and if the vote is positive, the new coalition will be sworn in. But that is a tremendous amount of time, specifically for right-wing members of Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party, who will try to pry coalition members away from this new bloc, convince them to drop out, which will disintegrate the change bloc. The challenge for the bloc is staying together, remembering why they came together, which was essentially to oust Benjamin Netanyahu, and not succumbing to Likud offers. Members of the 8-party change bloc continue meeting and negotiating terms of a future government and steeling themselves against offers to defect.
A record number of Italian beaches have been given the prestigious Blue Flag classification this year for their high water quality and environmental initiatives. Most of the 15 new entries are in Italy's central southern regions such as Pescara and Abruzzo and Montimono in Lazio. The national total is now 416, more than double than 10 years ago.
This year, the prestigious Blue Flag is flying proudly across 416 Italian beaches. For beach club owner Davide Camorotta, it's recognition of years of hard work.
It's as if it is a medal. This work is my life because the beach club has been in my family since forever, and this award gives us an important opportunity to restart.
A record number of new entries are in Italy's central south, such as Pescara in Abruzzo and Mintorno in Lazio. The flags are awarded by the Foundation for Environmental Education, an independent organisation comprising 77 countries worldwide.
There are 32 criteria that need to be respected. First of all, water quality, quality of the services, and environmental initiatives such as bike and pedestrian paths.
It means attention to the environment, for example, waste management and curating green spaces. It also means educational programs in schools about sustainability.
The FEE says community cooperation is fundamental.
The objective to obtain and retain the Blue Flag is the responsibility of the whole community, business owners, the council, and citizens.
The annual awards come as Italy's beaches opened for this season, and it's hoped the Blue Flag classifications will help boost the government's campaign to attract tourists. As the COVID infection rate falls, the Prime Minister has declared Italy open to international visitors with a green pass. By mid-June, most regions should be classified as low-risk white zones.
Tourists will return, and I think in much higher numbers than last year, absolutely.
High hopes for a summer that resembles pre-pandemic times.
In the world of sports, if the numbers of COVID-19 continue to surge, then the possibility of having sports activities suspended is likely on the higher side. Now, so far, the National Council of Sports has suspended basketball league games. Cricket has also been suspended as they monitor the surge, while FUFA has also suspended spectators from stadiums. Let's take a look at what Helen Gizamba has to say.
I note that this was well managed at the beginning, but as we move on, a number of federations failed to live up to the expectation of council. You have heard, not now, but quite often before, I made several reminders and press releases warning and cautioning national sports federations to ensure that they comply with the COVID-19 guidelines. Some have not.
Sports has started feeling the heat, with cricket and basketball fully affected, while the football fraternity have suspended all supporters who had started coming to watch the games. National Council of Sports has halted all FUBA games, citing cases of new COVID-19 infections among its players, with the belief that the game being played on some courts that belong to universities, fans cannot be controlled. The Cricket Lady Cranes, on the other hand, had a trip to Rwanda for the Kwibuka cricket tournament, only to find 8 players testing COVID-19 positive. Cricket has since suspended all competitions going forward. General Secretary, National Council of Sports, Dr. Bernard Ogwell, says they are monitoring all sports activities closely, calling all 53 federations to be conscious.
Turning to some of the sports I'm aware of, I've already mentioned about cricket, which have already acted promptly to suspend their leagues and all other activities for a period of 10 days. We also have basketball, which has been running. And I note that by 2 days ago, there are about 14 cases, which has been reported and confirmed positive, out of which I'm told 3 have been managed well. But we have lost 1 person from Power Betway Company, Betway Basketball Club. Now, one of the key issues we had to act on is, 1, to suspend with immediate effect the basketball league, which was going on concurrently in Uganda Christian University basketball courts and Kampala International University basketball courts. The challenge at hand is that there was no control, as guided by council, to have a closed door sports activities. The fans were accessing the stadiums and the playgrounds without any standard operating procedures being put in place.
Currently, only 13 outdoor sports disciplines have had sports activities, awaiting for National Council of Sports to give a green light to other sports disciplines. Meanwhile, sports federations have been summoned to offer reports on how they had initially managed COVID-19 prevention measures.
I've demanded a full report from a number of federations on the status quo that will inform the decision of council. So for me, the challenge of the time is well understood, and at the same time we have also seen many people not taking up the opportunity government has created for them to be vaccinated.
Yes, and that brings us to the end of our News Tonight bulletin this 4th day of June 2021. Thank you for being a lovely audience. We'll now leave you with the headlines as we say good night. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni advises police to use cameras effectively. Haruna Kayondo, General Katumba's driver, laid to rest in Bukoma and Simbi. Israeli opposition leaders form coalition to oust Prime Minister Netanyahu. And in sports, cricket, basketball suspend activities, with the look of others also being suspended. Thank you very much. And now the weather update.
Hey there, Tessa Mills Day with the update. There is a slight reduction in the amount of rainfall received lately, more especially in the eastern part of our country, though the western is still having light showers. This is due to the ridge that is over the tip of South Africa that is pushing the rainbow of our country towards the northwestern of our country. That is the rainfall that we're receiving in the northwestern part of our region, but the rest of the country, it is due to the local effects, more especially the Lake Victoria. Tomorrow morning, though, we expect to wake up with light showers along lake shores, but the rest of the country is expected to have sunny conditions. Afternoon hour, though, we expect a pick-up of thunder showers, most especially in the east and the central part of our country. Temperature is up to 31 degrees Celsius in the northern part of our country, 30 in the Karamoja regions. Across Kasese, it's pretty hot at 31 degrees maximum, though in our capital city, Kampala, it's going to go a little bit lower at 25 degrees Celsius. You is expected to move out of our country. We are forecasting stormy conditions across Dubai, New York and Johannesburg. Pretty hot though across Dubai at 41 degrees Celsius. Hong Kong is expected to have light showers at 29 degrees Celsius. Thanks for tuning on to UBC. Stay tuned and see you tomorrow.